Is this the PhatJ?
What's up, bro?
Thank you so much for being willing to hop on and talk with me for a bit.
Yeah, no worries.
So, I discovered you probably back in 2010, 2011. A friend showed me my first musical. I was never really into music back then, and then my friend showed me like his iPod and was showing me some bands and stuff. And BrokeNCYDE was one of them, along with Hollywood Undead and a few others. And I just wanted to ask you, like, where did you?
Nice.
Yeah. So when did you like first get into music? I guess is how I want to start it.
Me personally,
Yeah.
so when I was about 15 or so, I uh, I had I had discovered like underground hip hop, and so I was like trying to create my own. Of course, it wasn't good at all, but I had like a CD burner, and I would hook up a keyboard that had a mic input to a CD burner, and so it was like you rap one time and then it's like it's burned on the CD like one and done style. So
That's pretty dope.
uh, yeah, so that's pretty much where I started my musical journey. But I always really loved music, and I would mess around with keyboards, but never
Well,
like
yeah.
anything serious until I was probably about 15.
Nice. So it seems like you were more into hip hop music genre
Yeah.
than anything else, you think?
Um Probably. Yeah, it started like my musical interest started with underground hip hop, like Atmosphere and Sage Francis and like that sort of like indie hip hop world.
I gotcha. Did you listen to any other genres? Because it seems like in Broken Side there was a lot of like screaming and stuff. Were you a fan of rock at the time or anything like that?
At the time, no, not really. Like I always loved '90s like grunge, but I didn't want to create that necessarily until I discovered Linkin Park. So
Right.
Linkin Park really like changed my musical taste for like what I actually wanted to try, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they were definitely a huge stepping stones for the music world, I think.
For sure.
So, how did you meet the other guys like Michael and David and Antonio?
So it's kind of a long story, but I had been, to make a long story short, I had been on MySpace, and I kept seeing this weird like radioactive rat skull or something, and I was like, okay, that's like an interesting image. I never seen anything like that, because I don't know if you're from the same era, but like they had bulletins, which is like basically what you're doing now type thing, and it kept coming up on my bulletins, and so I was like, okay, that's interesting, and I moved on. And we had this store in Albuquerque, and it was like a novelty slash music store. It was called Hastings, and
Hmm.
apparently you could, like, as a local, you could sell your music there, but I didn't know that. I just saw that same image, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And so I just bought this random CD, and it was actually Sev, his one of his first albums that he put out. So like I had like seen, I think it had the MySpace or something on the back, I don't know, but I eventually like started talking with Sev, and we were just like mutual local rappers, you know?
Gotcha. So, were you guys
And
the foundation of Broken Side?
no.
Oh,
So we were just mutual rapper homies at the time. And I've always made beats. Like I said, I was running beats out of keyboards
hmm,
like when I was 15. So I've always been making beats, and I was probably only like 18 or 19 at the time when I like first met Sev,
hmm.
and so I we would just like mutually like each other's studio, like little studio pics, and you know what I mean. It was just like how everybody is now on social media. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just like a quick interaction here and there, and then I invited him to a party, and it was like pretty cool. You know, I would throw little parties at my house, and he came through, and it was cool. Like we were just homies, and like I saw on his bulletins one day he posted that he had a band that he was starting, and he needed somebody that could play an instrument and also do backup vocals. And at the time, like I didn't really know how to scream or anything like that. He had just asked me to try and learn, so that way, because like going from rapping to screaming to rapping to screaming, it's like really hard, you know. So
Right.
basically, I would play the keyboard and do all the little backup parts for him. And our my audition was at a show, and it was like it was crazy because I had never even really done shows before that, and it was like it was very very small scale, like local at the time. But yeah, so I'd say I was there pretty much at the beginning, but him and Michael, they're the ones that started it.
Oh wow. And then
They
how did
had
Antonio get into the picture?
Anthony.
Oh, my bad. I knew it was
No, you're
Ant, but I
fine.
just thought it was Antonio.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
Anthony, so he's Michael's little brother, and so he just started coming on tours with us. He started as Bree Bree, the mascot,
Oh,
and
so
you
he
know
was originally the pig?
there was a lot of people that did it, but that's pretty much what he came along the first couple of times to do.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like his exclusive job or anything. It was just like whatever we needed help with type thing. So he ended up coming along with us then, and then he moved on because we started doing light shows. We got a mobile light show set up, so we would bring that to every venue, and so he would be like responsible for the lights, and then we had roadies that would bring all of the equipment in, and then he would set it up and do the light show. So he had it all like in his brain, like how we wanted everything done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think it's kind of surprising that like the music that you really enjoyed was underground music and then you kind of became kind of the same thing?
You mean we became underground?
Yeah, you seemed kind of underground at the time, especially.
Yeah, at the time it was very underground. And by that I just mean like lyrical, like really lyrical, like telling stories in your songs, and you know what I
Right.
mean? But things eventually evolved, and like you want to always progress. So things changed, but when we first started, it was mainly just underground hip hop with Michael singing. So
Right.
there wasn't even screaming at the beginning.
Gotcha. So what do you think would be your favorite album that you created with that band?
I don't know, man. Um, the first one was so much fun because everything was brand new.
Right.
So that one was awesome, but I at that time I was mainly just responsible for production. I did a little bit of writing, like I helped write Get Crunk and a couple other songs, but it was mainly Sev. So as the albums progressed, him and I worked more and more together on stuff. So that was cool. So I don't. It's really hard to say because the very last one we put out, I had a lot to do with. Like lyrics and the production, and you know what I mean. So
Right.
that was really cool too. But they've put out a couple albums since then. I just mean the last album I was involved in.
Right. It was that
Guilty Pleasures.
Pleasures, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of producing? I remember talking to you years and years ago when you were releasing Butamus as like a mixtape, and I actually emailed you when I was a lot younger about it, and
Yeah.
so I think you kind of said that you did a lot of producing, like a lot of music making, like when you were in the
I
band as
did.
well. Right.
Yeah, I did. I worked closely with a few producers. We had Tristan, and he did a majority of like the actual production, but I would take it and like sort of flip it in my own way and add the keyboards and engineer. But we also worked with Kuma guy who does all the stuff for like Cottonmouth Kings and all those guys. So we had like a pretty good team, you know what I mean, of people that were all working together to like make the production happen. So it wasn't just me or just anyone. It was like a group effort.
Gotcha. So that your favorite album that you say that you did was I'm not a fan, but the kids like it. Was that kind of an accurate statement that you guys were making, or was it just kind of like a funny title you thought?
Oh no, so it was actually an inside joke. So we played a venue in Providence, Rhode Island. And it was like a really like metal venue, you know, like it had the weird dingy like almost pee smell and like
Yeah.
and the guy was like I asked him, I was like, hey man, like what'd you think, was it all right? Because like a lot of people had fun and there was a lot of people, and so he was like, yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan but the kids like it. And so we all just died laughing, and so it was like an inside joke within the band for a long time. Like we would say it about everything that like the newer generation of kids were into. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's kind of like, I
that's
don't know.
pretty
I
funny
took it as
actually.
like a old man statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think a huge strong point of Broken Side is definitely the music production of it. Like the beats I think are still like one of the best beats I've ever heard. Like in any like even
Thank
like new
you.
trap music, kids are huge in like trap music or dubstep now or whatever. But I think
Yeah,
your guys' Broken Side music, like beats and stuff, was amazing. Like still, like I still pop in like a couple of songs and I think they're bangers
yeah.
for sure.
Tristan, he did a lot of like the production of the beats and all that, and he's amazing. Like one of the best for sure.
Yeah, is he still making beats for other people or?
I think so. He went on to do pretty big things. Like he produced a couple tracks for like Soulja Boy and I don't
Hmm,
know some other people too. But yeah, he went on to do great things for sure. But like we were just really stoked that we got to work with him in the beginning. You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
So I still work with him.
Well,
He's
that's
a really
awesome.
cool dude.
Nice. So, besides favorite album, what would you say is maybe your favorite song, or a song that like defines you as an artist, whether it be an independent song that you've done by yourself or with Broken Side as a band?
Um, so I'd have to say that I'd have to use my own personal music because, like I said, I was more like production behind the scenes. Like I wasn't super like the front man or anything in Broken Side. Um, so I didn't really have too much of a say when it comes to any of that. But I have an album I released last year called Cloud 33, and I have a song on there called Let It Go, and it's with two of my all-time heroes in underground hip hop. Like they're from a group called The Living Legends, Scarab and Eli, and like for me to work with them because they don't know who Broken Side is, they don't know any of that stuff. Like it's a connection I built on my own, you know, and like it was just such a defining moment for me in life, not just a quote unquote career, because I never really considered music that, but that song is just, it's so powerful, and it's just about just being yourself and letting music take over you, and just being a musician for the right reasons, you know, like too many times it's about, is this a career, is this not a career, is it this, is it that. It's just supposed to make you feel good, and like if people enjoy it, awesome. But if they don't, that's fine too. You just create to be creative, you know? So the song is really about that, and that just like is so important to me to remember, and I constantly have to remind myself that that's why I do this, because I love music. I've always loved music. That's why I tried something completely different with BrokeNCYDE, is because I just wanted to evolve and change and try new things, and so that song is just sort of an embodiment of that for sure. So if you ever want to check it out, I have it up on
Oh
all
yeah,
platforms.
I've heard tons of your independent songs before, but that one that you just said, I can't really recall. Definitely have to give that a listen. But what you said about that whole music and like that's an awesome perspective to have, for sure. I think that helps in the creative process and how good the music sounds. It shows in your music for sure.
It's taken me a long time to get to that point, man, because you want to be successful, like I work at Papa John's right now, but it's not like I always wanted to work there. I wanted to try new things, and the Papa John's thing is just to fuel my dream, to because I never actually made it, in my opinion. Like we did a lot of cool stuff, but it was always about the next thing, and that's kind of a bummer, because then you miss out on all the cool things that's happening right in front of your eyes, because you don't realize as you're doing it that someday you're going to look back upon those exact times and think about how lucky you were to be there in general, because like I just bought a random CD at Hastings and it changed my life forever.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I don't know if that's fate, or I don't know what you'd want to call it, but I just think that's really like a really interesting way to like be part of a band, is just by like buying a random CD, and
Yeah,
then suddenly fast forward like 4 or 5 years and I'm touring around the world with my best friends. You know what I mean? It's just
that that's
it's
awesome.
really interesting.
Do the other guys have the same kind of perspective as you? Because you seem like a very deep individual. Like you seem pretty in depth and
Thank
kind of
you.
philosophical almost. You know?
Thanks, man. I actually have no idea. I'm not
Really?
sure. Yeah, like we reminisce. We get together and we reminisce on all the times, but like we don't really get too far into that. Um, I don't know. We're all just in way different pieces of our lives, Like every part is a new chapter. Everything is different for all of us. Some of us do race cars, and some of us are dads, other of us aren't, and like being a father too, that changes your perspective on life and what's important, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that Sev was trying to be more like make it like a career thing, like an end goal career, like make it really big, you think, compared to just enjoying the moment,
Yeah,
kind of like you?
I'd say we're both guilty, but yeah, for sure. I'm at that point now. It's taken me years to get
Oh,
to that, like to that summary. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because it was always about the next thing, the next show, the next opportunity, the next. You know what I
right,
mean? It's hard when you're trying to be successful at what you love, because then you don't really get to enjoy what you're doing, because you're still worried about making it, or quote unquote making it, or you know what I mean? So it's like it's really catch 22 in a lot of ways.
right. So, do you look upon those old days with Broken Sight with fond memories, or
Super
mostly kind of like,
fond.
yeah, that's good, that's good. Do
Super
you
fond.
miss like compared to you right now as an independent artist compared to when you were in Broken Side? Um, do you miss those days like Broken Side in the heyday?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was the coolest experience of my life, man. Like I'm just a regular guy from Albuquerque. Like there's certain things that are special about me, but I was just in the right place in the right time, and that's just crazy, to be in that situation. And so I'm very thankful, and I look back with super fond memories, and I'm just like really just I just thank the universe for putting me in that position, you know?
Yeah, that's really awesome. So, what would you say? Like, how does it make you feel when? Because you've had many fans, like whether they be fans of BrokeNCYDE or you as
Yeah.
an independent artist. Like,
Yeah.
people will always say like, "Oh, you've changed my life," or "You saved my life." A lot of people, go through that kind of emotion with music and who they like. So how does that
Yeah.
make you feel as an artist being a part of a group or an individual that like has helped someone through really depressing or maybe even like suicidal thought times?
I mean that's always the goal, isn't it? To be heard, to be felt, for anything you do ever to positively influence the world is like a huge blessing, and a lot of people don't even get that opportunity. So yeah, I'd definitely say that's amazing. But I never thought when I was creating that was going to happen. I never had that in mind. A lot of times if I write a positive song, I'm talking to myself. Like, you can do this. Get through this. You got this. This is what's important, you know? I'm like trying to self motivate, because being an artist is like, it's one of the hardest things, because you have to put yourself out there. You have to be open for people to just shit on you.
Hmm.
And you know what I mean? You're putting yourself out there, and it's like your soul, because you created something. It's like uh a lot of people, they'll trash on our early music, but it's like, dude, I was 18 years old. I had only been making music for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, I just barely learned like programs, and like,
Yeah,
uh, it's not like we were super tech geniuses or like musical prodigies. We were just like dudes, just like having fun. You know what I mean?
yeah. And look at any album by any artist. Every like first album is like almost experimental in a way. You see everyone's kind of elements kind of working together for the first time on like a record, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So it's cool that we were even able to do that at such an early time, and like be able to influence people. That's just, it's the goal, but you just don't know that that's going to happen when you're creating. Like, you hope for that, but it was just for fun. Like, we liked playing shows, we liked traveling, we liked just making a fun vibe. So that was always the goal when we were writing, and I think that bled through into people's lives. And we always preached like, love each other, and don't worry about what everybody else has to say. And if anybody could tell you, it's us, because people were hating all the time, but we still had fun, and we were able to do good things. And that's the ultimate experience, in my opinion, is to be able to just do good in the world, you know?
Yeah. Why do you think people hated on you guys so much? Like, what do you think it was? Was there like a reason? Or is it just because
A
you guys
lot of
sounded
it,
so different and that just wasn't, like it's not normal. It doesn't sound like normal music. I just don't like it.
a little bit of it was that. A little bit was that we were trying to be funny a lot of times, and people don't really, I don't know, like sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't take well to like comedy music. Like, we had a song where we say, "You make my pee pee hard," but it was like, it was supposed to be funny. Like, how juvenile can we be? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But like in a fun, like make you laugh type of way. None of us actually say pee pee. You know what I mean? Like, that's stupid.
Yeah. I gotcha. So what would you say is your fondest memory with Broken Side? Whether it be like on the road touring or places you've been, moments on
Um,
stage.
I don't know, man. There's just so many. It's like uh it's like a dream in a way. You close your eyes and you see random little flashbacks of joy, and and also sorrow, and you see your friends, and you see the open road, and you hear the music we're playing at the time, and you just really like visualize being there at that time. So I wouldn't say I have a single fond memory, because there's just too many memories. It's like months and months of being with people day after day after day after day. It's like asking, what's your fondest memory with your wife, or you know what I mean? It's too
Yeah,
hard to
it's like the
say,
whole
because
experience
there's
is enjoyable. The whole thing makes it.
yeah, and it's like the collective, and it's the smells and the feelings and the places, and the excitement, and you know what I mean? It's all of those just mixed together to make one beautiful picture.
Right. Yeah, that's totally understandable. Um, so for guests that you guys had on Broken Side, was there any ones that you were like your favorite guest?
Like a feature?
Yeah, like I know you guys had E40 on there. You guys also had Deuce from Hollywood Undead. Was there any
Yeah.
ones that stuck out to you as like, wow, I can't believe we got this guy on with us on
We
this
did a
song?
we did a song with Paul Wall, and like I've been an E40 fan, don't get me wrong, but like Paul Wall though, to me, because we're from Albuquerque, which is like southwest, right next door to Texas, like that scene bled over here a lot. You know what I mean? So like Paul Wall, to me and my buddies growing up, was like the shit. So to be able to do a track with him was like crazy. But also, like, I've always loved the Cottonmouth Kings, and having Daddy X on a track,
Hmm.
that was dope. I always loved Mickey Avalon. I thought he was amazing, and somehow he got on a track. Like, every feature, really. Like, there was not one feature that I was bummed out about ever.
Yeah,
They
I
were all
did. I
sick.
yeah, for sure. I did a podcast with Deuce from Hollywood Undead a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah,
it seems like he's having trouble with like label issues at the moment and getting music put out, which is a bummer. Um,
yeah,
but it seems like was it kind of awkward because like you guys, I think I saw an interview with you guys a long time ago where you guys were talking about the people that you guys were touring with at the time, and you guys were touring with Hollywood
yeah.
Undead.
Uh
So
huh.
were you touring with Hollywood Undead when Deuce was in Hollywood Undead?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
gotcha. How were
Um.
they?
So I can say that they weren't the nicest people. They definitely threw their dicks around, which I don't like. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's okay for me to curse. On my
I
bad.
don't care.
I
You're
just,
good. You're good.
but like, I just don't like that. Like, I've always been humble in any position I've ever been in. I've always talked cool to people. I've always been cool. And like, if I'm cool to you, why be an asshole to me? It just doesn't make any sense. And I will say though that Deuce is by far the coolest out of all of them. He was never an asshole, never a dick. He was always down to work on music. He was always down to chill. Like, Deuce was Hollywood Undead to me.
Yeah.
I was a fan of what he did, and like, Swan Songs is their best album. I'm sorry, it is. Like, you could tell his influence in the band. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I love Deuce.
I do too. That whole time period when I was growing up and listening to music for like the first time and having my own artists that I liked, you guys for
Yeah,
sure, and Hollywood Undead and a few other bands, but Swan Songs definitely sticks out to me as like, yeah,
yeah. It was fun. It was like they had really good party songs. They tried to do it later, but it just didn't feel the same.
yeah,
Because Deuce, in my opinion, and who am I? But in my opinion, he was the best part of the group. And the other guys, they were civil at times, but like, when we were on tour with them, we got stuck in a snowstorm in Amarillo, and like, I'm not kidding you, like a crazy snowstorm, because we were in our van, like we weren't in a tour bus. We were in our 15 passenger van that we took all around the United States countless times. But anyway, like when you're in a tour bus, the driver, he drives you the night before because you just want to be there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But us, we hung out for a bit, blah blah blah. Anyway, we ended up leaving the next morning, and so we got stuck when everybody else didn't because they had the tour buses and all that. And so they were like mad, and they thought we like ditched out on the show, and like they got on stage and like had everybody chant "fuck BrokeNCYDE," and you know what I mean, like
Oh, big
just
yikes.
real, just like real petty shit, like real petty. And they thought they were so cool, and like I don't know, I don't like that vibe. I've never liked that vibe. Like, you're not cooler than me. I'm sorry, we're all just people. Like, you know what I mean? Being cool is like being cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. They just like they were all up on Senses Fail Buddy. I forget his last name, but they were like all on his jock. So whatever he thought is what they thought, and so I just didn't like that.
Yeah. I've always been a huge fan of people that were in successful bands and then they branch off. Like, I find like that like underdog story so fascinating and enjoyable because like that's what I don't know, I just really enjoy that kind of stuff. So when Deuce
Yeah,
verged off from Hollywood Undead and did his own things, I was like, holy crap. It showed that he was a huge part of the band. Um
yeah.
and I think you are similar in that way because you verged off from Broken Side and like I personally I think you were a huge part of the band.
Thank you,
You
man.
Yeah, like you were. I loved your verses. I love your rapping. It was all really really good. I enjoy that
Thank
underground
you.
kind of underdog story.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's hard, man. It's You wouldn't believe how hard it is because when you're in a successful band and you try to go solo, people are like, "Yeah, so what?" You know, you don't get any extra opportunities. If anything, people give you less because they feel like, "Oh, you should already have blah blah blah." And you don't, you know? So being a solo artist, it's hard. Like I said, music can make you so happy, but it can also make you so depressed when you play shows and like nobody shows up, or you know what I mean. That's why I was saying I had to come to the conclusion for my own sanity of why do you make music. Is it for other people, or is it for yourself? Is it to push your own boundaries and do things that you didn't think you could do, or is it to like impress other people? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's like a really weird like circle, vicious circle.
yeah. That sounds about right. So who do you listen to currently for music? Does it is you Are you still kind of the same? Like you like the underground stuff still, or do you kind of verge off and listen to some radio stuff?
Um, I wouldn't say I listen too much radio, to be perfectly honest with you. I
To be
do,
perfectly honest, I think everyone's on the same boat as you. Who listens to the radio? You
yeah,
plug in your
yeah.
aux, you put in, whatever you want to listen to.
I listen to a lot of different stuff. It's hard to say. But I'd say my favorite artist at this point is Mac DeMarco. I really, really love his music, and he does stuff with this guy named Yellow Days, and I love their music so much. And like me and my wife, we vibe to this dude Tom Mish. He's like sort of like chill funk, like kind of not poppy really, but I don't know. He just has a good voice, and like I listen to so much stuff, but I do listen to a little bit of modern. Like I like Suicide Boys and Puya,
Hmm.
and you know what I mean. Like I'll listen to a little bit of like um, Anderson Paak or trying to think of who else modern I like.
So would you say your music taste is very wide range? Like it doesn't
Yeah,
matter what genre it is. It just you just what do you think it is about music that you like the most? Like if I pop on a song right now and you didn't know what it was, what would stick out to you the most
I
for you
don't
to like it?
know. I'm weird, dude,
Is
because
it like
like
lyrics that stick out to you the most, or is it the sound of the beat that sticks out to you, or is it like a really catchy melodic chorus, or
I think all of it. Um, but like I said, I'm weird because if you were to show me a song or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, that's okay. But then if I listened to it on my own and came to my own conclusion, then I'd be like, oh yeah, like you got to listen to this. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I'm dumb when it comes to that because like me and my wife laugh about it all the time because we'll show each other music and be like, yeah, it's okay. And then 10 years later, be like, have you heard this? And I'm like, I've been telling you about that.
yeah,
But I don't know. It's just how it goes, I guess.
yeah. I think that situation is pretty easy for me because my wife listens to the Beatles and that's it. And I'm not the biggest fan,
Yeah.
but I respect it. I respect all music. Like if I just don't like something, I'm not a hater. I just don't listen to it. I
Yeah.
just don't have any opinion because it's just not really in my realm of what I listen
Sure.
to.
But eventually, dude, you'll grow and like just like you tend to like foods that you didn't like before, the same thing will happen with music, and all of a sudden you'll like deep dive into something and you'll be like, oh wow, the Beatles like actually are really sick and I just didn't notice it at the
Yeah,
time or
I'm
whatever,
gonna
it
be
just didn't
blaring in my
speak to
car
me.
Octopus's Garden going down the road at some point in the near future, probably.
I mean, maybe near, maybe not. You just never know because it has to hit your heart where you are in that point in time. That's why certain music hits at certain times. That's why BrokeNCYDE hit at a certain time, was because you felt a certain way when you listened to that music that spoke to you at that point in your life. So that way, when you look back, you'll always remember those certain times. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, do you think that time that you're speaking of is like was like a scene period or like an emo period?
I don't know, dude. Yeah, it's. I
Because
was
like when I
talking with my
imagine
friend.
Broken Side, I think of people
Yeah,
with like oversized Osiris shoes with neon colors and not that like that's what you guys are, but that's just like like almost like a demographic of the people that listen to
yeah,
it. And people don't really dress like that or look like that really anymore. Like the emo phase
yeah.
is
I
kind
don't.
of shifting into just kids with anxiety, and that's like everybody.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We never really like promoted that, or you know what I mean. It's just what it was. Like those were the people that gravitated towards it. But like I never dressed like that. I just dressed like a normal like white dude, like skater. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I had not Osiris's, but I had like skate shoes. You know, I was always rocking like Vans, or I don't know. I had some DCs, or I had shell toe Adidas, or you know what I mean. Like
Hmm.
I was always gravitating more towards like a skater hip hop style, and I think the other guys too. Like I don't know, they Sev, like he just created his own style, and like it was a little bit emo with the hair, but like the dress code was a little bit more colorful, but it was also subtle, and like band tees became a thing, and like I don't know. Did we influence the culture, or did the culture influence us? I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys definitely made like an impact for sure.
But dude, like when we were on the road, I'm telling you, like it was so colorful of the different people that enjoyed our music. It was like old people, young people, really young people. Like they just got it. There was skaters, there was scene kids, there was like weird goth people, there was like like bros. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of bros liked our music. Obviously, like girls of all different, styles. Like some were emo, some were like colorful with the beads and all that, or the candy or whatever they call it. It was like really diverse. I couldn't say like this is a BrokeNCYDE fan. I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody else, when they think about us, that's what they see, but it's just not the truth. That was like a part of it, of course, but like you don't really control who listens to your music or who gravitates towards it. It's just it speaks to somebody or it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I think I look kind of gothic looking, but like I listen to um Marty Robbins, and it's like an old western cowboy. Like
Nice.
you just can't judge a book by its cover. Some people, people that did wear those Osiris's back in the day were probably listening to something really random, like Lil Wayne or something. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, everybody likes everything.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like I don't think anybody was anything. It's just you are who you are. You might listen to Black Veil Brides and then Lil Wayne right after that. Like it was
Yep.
just like that, you know?
Yep. So after you departed the band, you've done some solo projects, and it seems like you're also doing tattooing as well.
Yeah. Well,
Have
I've
you
been
always drawn?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've always been an artist. I would just like draw Pokemon back in the day, like when those first came out, and it evolved into like drawing Dragon Ball Z. And then after Dragon Ball Z, I started getting into like graffiti and like writing letters and perspective and weird shifts in perspective. Like I forget the artist, and it's gonna bother me. But the like the sort of like the stairs that go every which way, and you're like that doesn't make sense, but it kind of does.
Yeah,
Do you know which artist I'm talking about?
I don't, but I know like I see the image in front of me though. I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
So it's sort of it was inspired a little bit by that, and then I started getting into like Bob Ross painting, but I would do a Bob Ross tutorial and like just like I don't want to say mess it up, but like just screw with it a little bit and like make something surreal out of like realism.
Hmm.
I don't know, that it's hard to explain, but like I have a painting that I did I think last year, but it's a Black Widow, and it's like it has a real sinister face on its stomach, and the like butt part of it is the earth. So it's like
Hmm.
it's very real in the way that I painted it, but it's surreal in the idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I just really enjoy weird stuff like that. Like I have another painting that's like a dinosaur with his mouth opening, and there's like a gremlin living inside his mouth. And like
Yeah.
I don't know, like I love abstract art, but to go back to tattooing, I've been doing that forever too. Like I used to tattoo when I was on the road with BrokeNCYDE and like
So you have your
tattoo
own
people.
little kit or something?
Yeah, yeah, I had a kit. But that was way back when. I definitely sucked back then. It was just fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you
It's
ever tattoo
always
any of your friends?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've tattooed all the BrokeNCYDE dudes. I've tattooed people on the road. I've tattooed tons.
That's awesome. So are you involved with any kind of business in Albuquerque where you tattoo at like a tattoo shop, or you strictly working as an independent artist working at that Papa John's?
Uh I I'm like I'm a person of many interests. I have paintings up in galleries. I have stickers. I'm about to do T-shirts. I do tattoos, every once in a while. I'm not a tattoo artist. I'm just an artist that tattoos, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So I'm always like doing different things. Like I have these little pendants that I make called eye guys, so that like they're like little plastic, hand painted little like pendants that you put on a chain or something. You know what I mean? Or hang
Yeah.
up on your rear view mirror, or whatever. But like I do that. They're like little monster guys. I do like sculpting. Obviously, I make beats and I rap and I sing, and you know what I mean? Like I do too much. And I'm a dad and I'm a husband and I'm a homeowner, and you know what I mean? Like
Well, I
I'm
definitely
trying.
think you are successful for sure. Because if you're
Thanks, man.
married, you got a kid, and you're creating things, whether it be it's you're an artist in all forms, whether it be music or drawing or whatever. I definitely think you are
Yeah.
successful, whether you're part of BrokeNCYDE on the road or not. Like
Yeah.
you are successful for sure.
I'm successful in the ways that I'm doing it. I'm alive. I'm good. Like I can provide for my family, and sometimes that means working fast food to like fuel everything.
Yeah.
But like
Well, you're doing the
I'm
things that you want to do. Some people will just like things their whole life but never do anything about it.
yeah.
And I think that's what, causes a lot of people's depression or just unfulfillment in life is just because they're just not doing what they enjoy.
Yeah. It's hard though, man. Being creative is very hard. Like I said, you really have to keep what's important in mind, because people don't support. They just don't. They don't support art. They don't support music. They don't support anything, because there's just too many people doing it now. So like I feel like I'm screaming into the void more often than I'm being supported in any sort of way. So like it's really eye opening to what you want, and how to get there, and like what's the end goal in this, or is there one? Because sometimes there's not. Sometimes I create just to create, but other times I'll like I just got Procreate on my iPad, so like I'm creating with stickers and T-shirts and everything in mind as I'm creating. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it all circles back around to you fulfilling just what you want to do. Like you're creating it for you. You're not
Yeah,
creating it for other people. You're doing what you enjoy.
exactly. But it does get disheartening, man. It really does. And I would never lie and say that, oh, yeah, everything's perfect, because it's not. Like, even when you're successful and doing it all, like I said, you're always thinking about the next thing, and, like, how can I get X, Y, and Z, instead of just being like, wow, I'm on TRL right now, or I'm on stage at the Warp Tour. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah,
always thinking about, oh, well, this is what the Warp Tour will do for me, instead of being like, this is crazy, I'm here. Do you know?
yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about because when I used to listen to Hollywood Undead when I was a kid and BrokeNCYDE and a lot of different other people, um, I would never think that I'd be talking to you on this podcast right now. I never thought I'd
Yeah.
be here. And like,
Yeah.
it made me sick to my stomach. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna talk to this guy that I used to listen to for over a decade. Like
Yeah.
it's scary and I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking about the same way that you're talking about. Like, I just can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm talking to you, an amazing artist, and other people in the future. Like, that's just what I'm trying to focus on. I'm not trying to be successful or anything. I'm just
Yeah.
enjoying this. I'm enjoying talking to you and future people. That's all I'm just
Yeah.
focusing on.
And you got to remember, dude, like we're all just people. We're all just trying our best and failing at certain things and successful sometimes, and it's just we're all on the same pursuit. Like there's no difference between you and I, other than like our upbringing and genetics maybe, but
Yeah.
you love music, I love making music. It's like It's like the circle of life in a way.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so is there anything that you're working on new right now?
Yeah,
Whether it be new music or new art pieces you plan on hanging on at a gallery somewhere?
I'm always painting and creating. I do have some new music that's I'm in a group with my friend Sapiens Christ. He's an amazing artist as well, and he's a lot similar to me. Like he does beats and paints and all that. But like we have a project together called Songbirds. You can find we have some music on Spotify and all that, but it's really jazz based. It's hip hop, but it's very traditional, as in like we have somebody playing trumpet, and we have, you know what I mean, like guitar, and it's just very jazzy in the way that my friend Sapiens, like how he portrays his art is very jazzy. um, it's hard to explain, but it's so dope. But anyway, him and I have a project coming out July 1st. So that'll be everywhere on Spotify and all that. But we
I'm
had a
definitely gonna give it a
project that,
listen.
yeah, we had a project that came out like 2 years ago, I think. It's called Lemon and Lime. But it's really interesting stuff. So I have that coming out. I don't know if I'm gonna put out like singles or if I'm going to put out another project. I'm not really sure if I'm just going to split them up into EPs, but I do have like, 10 songs that are pretty much ready to go. I'm just waiting to like put them out properly and give them the attention that they deserve, because I spend so much time, because anything that you've heard me solo on other than Butamus, I've produced.
That's
So,
awesome.
but that was sort of the point. My cousin, he did a lot of the production for Butamus, so that was like his and my project. But anything like PhatJ that you've heard is all my production, and not only that, like I mix and master, and you know what I mean. Like it takes forever, dude. So
I bet.
I have to give it like the proper attention so that like people care, but I'm still not sure how to do that, because you have to be online all the time, which I'm not, because I have a problem of like thinking to myself, is this important? Instead of just like content, 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 content. I'm like,
Yeah.
is this important what I'm putting out? If not, why am I putting it out? But it seems like things are shifting more the other way. So I don't know. I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah. Well, I think you definitely are succeeding at it, and I cannot wait to hear your new stuff that you're gonna be putting out soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you having me on and letting me speak a little bit of my truth. It means a lot to me, and like I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I also named this podcast Fanscast because there's fans of everything.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not focusing on just musicians. I'm focusing on other people too. Like, in the next couple of weeks, I'm having on one of the writers from Family Guy, and he's not a really known
Awesome.
person. Only people only know Seth MacFarlane. People
Yeah.
don't know this guy named Alex Sulkin. Like nobody knows his name really. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
have him on, and it's just I'm a fan of everything, and there's fans
That's
of
awesome.
everybody. So I'm trying to get um, all walks of life on to be able to talk and share their experiences with what they've done with their life. And yeah, as I
Yeah.
said, I appreciate you so much for coming on and being willing to talk with me.
Yeah, no problem. I
All right,
It's definitely mutual, and I wish you all the success in the world.
as do I to you, man. Thank you so much for being on.
Right on, brother.